courtesy of Panini. Bless you, Marvin. So this is the special Caitlyn Clark chronicled 100 card set, and it's the book Caitlyn Clark. You got the time Panini, so everybody gets one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's my one. Nice. My daughter's gonna. Yeah.
That reaction right there says everything you need to know about where things stand with Caitlyn Clark right now. Dan Patrick, one of the most respected voices in sports media, gets sent a Panini trading card collection. And his first thought is not ripping it open or showing it off. His instinct is to keep it sealed. That alone tells you people already understand this thing has real value before it even officially hits shelves. And this is not hype or guessing. Target completely sold out their pre-order inventory at $85 per box within hours of the announcement going live. During the holiday season, people still rush to lock these in. That does not happen by accident. So what is actually inside this collection that has collectors and everyday fans spending that kind of money? And more importantly, what does this say about Caitlyn Clark's real value to the WNBA compared to what some people inside the league seem uncomfortable admitting?
Love this. This is awesome.
Everybody gets one.
Now, love it. Question. Should we not unwrap them?
I would not unwrap it if I were you.
You keeping these, you keeping it in the package?
Condition. I am.
You are? Yeah. You're a collector.
I am a collector.
You are.
Yeah.
Ultra rare color blasting.
So this is what Panini does. They do things different, better than anybody. Maybe if somebody wants to open theirs up.
I still think Todd should be forced to open his because I want to see it firsthand. Now look at what Panini packed into this release. 100 total cards with 32 cards per box spread across 8 packs. 50 of those cards are dedicated strictly to Clark and her rookie season with the Indiana Fever. On top of that, there are 10 lifestyle cards showing her off the court, building her brand beyond just game footage. And then comes the real heat. Exclusive autographs and ultra-rare color blast, inserts that collectors already believe could be worth hundreds on their own if the right one shows up. This is not a normal rookie card drop. Panini built an entire chronicle around one player. That type of treatment is usually saved for names like LeBron James or Tom Brady, not WNBA rookies. But Caitlyn Clark is not a normal rookie, and the market keeps proving that whether people like it or not. Now here is why Dan Patrick's reaction actually matters. He has been in sports media for more than 3 decades. He has lived through multiple trading card booms and watched entire markets collapse. He saw the junk wax era in the late 80s wipe out the value of baseball cards almost overnight. He understands the difference between something that is momentarily hot and something that actually holds long-term value.
Should have to open his up because
I want to keep mine in mint condition.
I don't know.
I mean,
you don't have to do nothing, Todd.
you don't. I mean, that's Seton kind of.
I think it's meant to not be open, even though
No,
the
no,
cards
it's
are
meant to be
inside.
open.
Open and looked at.
No, it's meant to be open, looked at. But I'm going to keep mine wrapped.
I'm going to keep mine wrapped too, since I'm getting a pie in the face.
Right.
So when his first instinct is to keep the box sealed because it will appreciate, that is not about Caitlyn Clark being popular for a few months. That comes from recognizing cultural impact with real staying power. These cards are not expected to fade away in a few years. If anything, they grow stronger because they document a moment where one player shifted the entire direction of women's basketball. Collectors chase moments, not trends, and documented moments are what hold weight over time. Now shift to what teammate Sophie Cunningham recently put out there, because this is where the tension that's been brewing all season really shows itself. She is a veteran guard who has spent years in the league. She has seen different eras, different stars, and plenty of hype cycles. And she made it clear that arguing against Caitlyn Clark, being the face of the WNBA, ignores what is plainly happening in front of everyone. What makes that statement hit harder is context. Cunningham does not gain anything financially from saying it. Clark's success does not directly boost her role or brand. If anything, acknowledging this reality puts her in conflict with veterans who believe seniority alone should equal recognition. That makes her stance less about clout and more about calling the situation exactly how it looks. Notice what Sophie Cunningham does in that clip. She already knows the pushback is coming. She anticipates people bringing up Sabrina Ionescu, Aja Wilson, and Brianna Stewart, so she shuts that conversation down before it even gains momentum. She is not tearing those players down. She clearly acknowledges their talent and accomplishments. What she is doing is drawing a line between being an elite player and being the face of the league. And that distinction matters. The face of a league is not decided by who is statistically the best or who has the longest resume. It comes down to who actually moves the needle, who brings in new fans, who pulls mainstream media attention, who makes casual sports fans stop scrolling and pay attention to the WNBA.
And it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
By every measurable metric that matters off the court, Caitlyn Clark is leading that charge, and the gap is not small. Now look at what this Panini release represents from a straight business perspective. Trading card companies do not gamble on full, player-specific collections unless they are confident the product will sell. Panini has decades of data showing which athletes cross over beyond their sports core audience. They understand demand patterns, timing, and price sensitivity better than almost anyone in the collectibles space. Creating a 100-card set built entirely around Caitlyn Clark, dropping it during the holiday season when competition for consumer spending is at its peak, and pricing it at $85 puts it firmly in premium territory, and it's still sold out at Target within hours. That does not happen because a league asked for it. That happens because Panini recognized a rare opportunity to capitalize on an athlete whose appeal goes far beyond the court. And yes, that decision also invites scrutiny, because when business moves this loud, people are going to talk about it whether they want to or not. Now look closely at the specific cards Panini chose to include, because the details matter. The Time magazine cover is part of this collection, and that is not a small thing. Time does not put WNBA players on its cover lightly. That space is usually reserved for cultural figures who influence conversations far beyond sports. Caitlyn Clark appeared on that cover in April during March Madness, before she was even drafted, which speaks volumes about her reach at that moment. That level of mainstream exposure is rare. The collection also features cards from the WNBA All-Star Game, which pulled record viewership largely because Clark was on the floor.
Oh, we're doing it.
This Doug Gottlieb's the one that said that she needs to.
It's not
change.
great. It's not great.
That is an awesome form right there.
That's right. It's not great. It's awesome.
It's, yeah.
Two fingers down.
Yeah.
Got to put it in there.
When Doug said that her form
not great.
needs to change.
There are cards from her Indiana Fever debut, which became the most watched WNBA game in more than 20 years. These are not random highlights. They capture moments that actively shifted the league's visibility. This is more than simple memorabilia. It functions as a record of the moment when women's basketball crossed into a new level of American sports awareness. These cards document the inflection point where interest moved from niche to national. Now connect this to what is happening with the CBA negotiations, because the timing is important. The WNBA Players Association is currently negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement with league owners. Conversations about compensation, revenue sharing, and long-term investment have become louder. Players like Angel Reese have been vocal about wanting a system that better reflects the league's growth. Owners recently responded to the players' proposal, and by most reports, discussions remain tense. In the middle of this, Caitlyn Clark is driving revenue streams that did not exist before. Panini did not previously have a market for premium-priced WNBA card collections. Target did not see WNBA merchandise sell out within hours. Those shifts are happening now, and they are changing the financial conversation whether anyone is comfortable admitting it or not. Mainstream sports shows were not dedicating full segments to WNBA storylines before Caitlyn Clark entered the picture. That shift matters. When players are now pushing for higher salaries and stronger revenue sharing, they are negotiating within a financial landscape that looks completely different than it did 18 months ago. The real question becomes how much of that new money is directly connected to one player. And if that percentage is meaningful, it changes the power dynamics at the negotiating table. Because if Caitlyn Clark is helping generate millions in new revenue, and that money is being used to justify league-wide pay increases, the situation becomes more complex than simple collective growth. Other players benefit from the surge in attention. They gain visibility, sponsorship interest, and leverage. But there also has to be an acknowledgement that some of that leverage exists because of the spotlight Clark brought to the league. Increased visibility did not happen randomly. It followed a very specific moment and a very specific player. This is why Sophie Cunningham's comments land differently when you understand the full context. She is not speaking out because of personal loyalty or because it sounds good publicly. She is pushing back against a narrative that does not line up with what is actually happening. Throughout the season, there have been players and media figures trying to minimize Caitlyn Clark's influence. Some argue the attention is exaggerated or undeserved. Others try to frame multiple players as equally responsible for the league's recent growth. But the numbers, the coverage, and the timing all point in one direction, and ignoring that reality does not make it disappear. Sophie Cunningham is essentially saying it is time to stop pretending. The league would not be in its current position without Caitlyn Clark. That is not a personal take or a hype-driven argument. It is something you can observe in real time. Ignoring that reality does not protect anyone. It creates unnecessary tension and distracts from opportunities the league could be building on right now. Consider what Sophie is putting on the line by saying this publicly. She is a veteran with long-standing relationships across the league. Some of those players have spent years grinding to grow the WNBA and may feel overlooked when the conversation centers on one name. Speaking this openly risks friction and quiet resentment. But Cunningham still says it because the alternative is pretending the league's current momentum came from nowhere. What makes her viewpoint especially credible is experience. She has played with Caitlyn Clark. She has been on the court when the Indiana Fever visits courts away from home. The arenas are full. The media presence multiplies. The energy shifts. It is immediate and obvious. Every team in the league has felt that change firsthand. Whether people are comfortable acknowledging it or not, the effect is real. Sophie is simply willing to say what players and fans can already see. Now shift to what happened during the holiday period, because that part is telling. Caitlyn Clark has been relatively quiet publicly. She has not been making regular appearances at Iowa Hawkeyes games the way she did previously. She has not been flooding the media cycle with interviews. By most accounts, she has been training in Indianapolis, spending time with family, and keeping a low profile. And yet, despite that silence, she continues to dominate headlines. Her presence remains constant even when she is not actively promoting herself, which says a lot about the level of attention surrounding her right now and why the conversation keeps circling back to her impact on the league. Panini releases this trading card collection, and it instantly becomes news. Dan Patrick spends time on it. Major sports media outlets pick it up. Social media fills with people scrambling to secure pre-orders. Caitlyn Clark is not promoting it, not doing interviews around it, and not actively pushing anything, yet she is still the central storyline. That is what being the face of a league actually looks like. Your impact is felt even when you are not present. Now compare that to other WNBA storylines unfolding at the same time. Angel Reese has been active on social media. There have been updates surrounding CBA negotiations. Other players have done appearances and interviews. All of it matters within the league, but very little of it breaks into the wider sports conversation. The way a Caitlyn Clark trading card release cuts through that noise is the exact point Sophie Cunningham has been trying to make. There is a clear gap between her level of cultural reach and everyone else's, and that gap keeps showing up in measurable ways. Another detail that often gets ignored in this debate is intent. Caitlyn Clark never campaigned to be the face of the league. She has not branded herself that way or demanded that spotlight. She regularly redirects praise to her teammates. She openly acknowledges other players and has remained measured when discussing her role in the WNBA's recent growth. But markets do not wait for permission. Fans respond to what moves them. Media follows what draws attention. Corporate partners like Panini invest where demand is undeniable. That kind of organic momentum cannot be manufactured. The WNBA has spent years promoting elite talent with compelling stories and high-level skill. Many of those efforts were deserved. None of them produced the sustained mainstream attention that Caitlyn Clark generated simply by how she plays the game. That level of impact cannot be forced. It happens when everything aligns at the right moment. When Sophie Cunningham speaks this directly, What she is really expressing is frustration with a conversation that has drifted away from facts.
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Like, we have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally.
The data is not subtle. It is overwhelming. Television ratings for Indiana Fever games were consistently 3 to 4 times higher than games that did not feature Caitlyn Clark. The most watched WNBA game in 23 years was Clark's debut. Merchandise sales surged around her jersey and related products. League-wide social media engagement jumped sharply during her rookie season. These are not opinions or interpretations. They are measurable outcomes tied to her presence. Those numbers show exactly what she represents to the league's business model. When people argue that she is not the face of the WNBA, they are either ignoring clear data or allowing personal feelings to override objective reality. That is the disconnect Cunningham is calling out, because avoiding the truth does not help the league move forward. None of this means other players lack importance. Aja Wilson is a dominant force and an MVP. Brianna Stewart is one of the greatest players the league has ever seen. Sabrina Ionescu is both elite and highly marketable. The WNBA needs all of them to thrive. But needing multiple stars does not change the reality that one player is currently driving a disproportionate share of attention and revenue. Both things can exist at the same time. The problem starts when the discussion is framed as a choice between Caitlyn Clark being the face of the league or other players being valuable. That framing is false. Clark can be the face, while others remain essential to the league's success. Acknowledging that hierarchy does not diminish anyone. It simply describes the current landscape accurately. Now circle back to what this Panini collection represents for Clark's long-term brand value. Trading cards have been a reliable signal of athlete marketability for decades. The players who receive premium, high-end card treatment are usually the ones with lasting cultural impact. They transcend their sport. They become reference points beyond the game itself. In basketball, that tier includes names like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan. In football, it is Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. In baseball, Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. These are athletes who became household names even among people who do not actively follow sports. Caitlyn Clark is beginning to enter that space. Panini recognizing this with a dedicated release is validation from an industry built on predicting long-term value. The specific card designs reinforce that belief. Green halo parallels, laser parallels, and color blast inserts are premium variants serious collectors pursue. These are not casual collectibles. Panini is not treating this as a novelty product. They are positioning Clark's cards within the high-end collecting market. That signals confidence that her cards will eventually trade alongside the most valuable modern sports cards. That is a strong statement about where they believe her career trajectory is headed. The autograph cards matter even more. Panini must negotiate directly with athletes for signature rights, and those agreements come at a cost. Companies do not take on that expense unless they believe the return will justify it. Including autographs in this collection shows Panini believes Caitlyn Clark's signature carries real monetary value, not just in the short term, but years down the line when these cards circulate on the secondary market. That belief is not based on hope. It is based on data, history, and a clear understanding of how cultural impact translates into lasting value. What makes Sophie Cunningham's perspective especially important right now is her position in the league. She is not a rookie, she is not new to the WNBA, and caught up in the moment. She has been in the league since 2019, competing with and against some of the best players in its history. She knows what elite talent looks like at every level, and she still arrives at the same conclusion.
There's a maniacalness to it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which is another thing you can't teach.
No, and like, she is so phenomenal and so elite at her craft. A generational talent. I don't think I have to hype her up anymore. In fact, we need to get her head a little bit down, and that's what I've done.
Down a little bit.
So fun because when she's in her zone, and I know when she was playing, she was coming back from injury too, but she had kind of an off year of shooting when she was able to play. And I think that's normal. Like you're never just gonna always be up here, you know what I mean? But when she was locked in, like it was so fun to watch her play because she was 4 steps ahead of everyone else. She was, hey, we need to run this so we can do this. And then defensively, if you do this, like she's on a whole nother level. And so it was really cool to kind of see how her brain works when you're in the fight with her. Hopefully we'll get more of that down the road. But there's just some things that you can't teach. And she just has a lot of those things.
That context matters. Her opinion is not rooted in inexperience or hype. Sophie understands professional sports well enough to know the difference between being respected inside a league and being recognized outside of it. And she is drawing a very clear line between those two things. Caitlyn Clark has reached a level of mainstream cultural visibility that no other current WNBA player has reached. That visibility is not cosmetic. It alters how the league is covered, marketed, and discussed. It shifts the league's trajectory in a way that people outside the sport can feel, not just insiders. Sophie does not soften her point. She does not say one of the faces or an important face. She points to a singular reality. Being the face of a league means representing it to the broader world. It means being the first name casual fans associate with the sport. It means being the person media outlets seek out and corporate partners prioritize. It means being the reference point other leagues quietly study. Right now, Caitlyn Clark occupies that role for the WNBA. Sophie's frustration comes from the fact that this should not be controversial. When people continue to debate it, argue around it, or dismiss it, they are not protecting fairness. They are avoiding reality. And Sophie is making it clear she is not interested in playing along with that kind of denial just to spare feelings. This entire situation keeps circling back to the same truth. You can debate opinions, narratives, and personal preferences all day, but you cannot debate outcomes. Attention, revenue, and visibility follow impact, and right now, Caitlyn Clark is the center of gravity for the WNBA. That does not erase the work others have done. It does not discredit legends or current stars. It simply reflects where the league is in this exact moment. The numbers are pointing in one direction. The market is responding in one direction. Media coverage, fan engagement, and corporate investment are all moving in sync. When someone like Sophie Cunningham speaks up, it cuts through the noise because she has nothing to gain from saying it. No branding boost, no marketing angle, just a veteran acknowledging what is plainly visible across arenas, screens, and balance sheets. This is what it looks like when a league hits an inflection point. Moments like this do not happen often. And they are uncomfortable because they force hard conversations about credit, leverage, and reality. But ignoring them does not slow change. It only delays progress. Caitlyn Clark did not create this dynamic intentionally. She simply played the game in a way that captured attention far beyond the court. The rest followed naturally. And this is why these conversations matter. Not because of drama, but because they shape what comes next for the league, the players, and the business around it. If you want the real stories behind the headlines, the stuff that does not always make it onto television, that is exactly what Courtside Leaks is built for. Stay locked in, because this era of women's basketball is just getting started, and the moves behind the scenes are only getting louder. We've got every angle covered, every leak, every backstage twist, every moment they won't show you. Hit like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video. Stay locked in with Courtside Leaks, your home for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.